Hello everyone, I am Ankita Jangid, Assistant Professor. Today I will be covering the topic Parametric and Non-parametric test. Now, after collecting the data, we have to test our hypothesis which we have developed earlier. So, there are two types by which we can test our hypothesis, parametric and non-parametric test. Hope you have seen my earlier videos, what is hypothesis and type of hypothesis. Now this is the topic which will cover the types of testing the hypothesis. Now let's start. There are two types by which we can test our hypothesis, parametric test and non-parametric test. Now under parametric test, three tests are there: Z test, T test and F test. In non-parametric test, there is Chi-square test. Now according to the syllabus of Management Paper 2, this is an important about the paper 1, then also it is very important topic because many times they asked about the testing of hypothesis related to the Z test, T test and F test. So you should know what is Z test, T test and F test. Now let's start. What is Z test? Z test is used when the total sample size is large than 30. It is used for testing the means of two populations or comparing the means of two populations. Z test is used when population standard deviation is known. Example, comparing the average salary of male employees versus female employees in a production unit. Now here, what is the main point? That is, when sample size is more than 30, then we will use the Z test. It is used for testing the two population. Now here in the example there are two population. One is male employees, whereas another population is female employees. Now we are comparing the two population and that is known as Z test. So it is a test used for testing the means of two populations. Keep in mind there are two populations, male employees and female employees, and when the sample size is large than 30, then we will use the Z test. Next, T test. T test is used when the total sample size is less than 30. So when the sample size is less than 30, we will use the T test, whereas when the sample size is more than 30, then we will use the Z test. You should know this parameter. Next, T test is used for testing the means of one population against a standard or comparing the means of two populations. See the example. Comparing the variability of bolt diameter from two machines. Now what we are doing from one population, we are comparing that one population from the two population. That you should keep in mind. Next, F test. F test is used to analyze the ratio of the variance of two samples. It is also known as Fisher F test. Also used when sample size is small. So when sample size is large, you will use Z test, and when sample size is small, you will use F test and T test. Example, a sample of a teenager might be divided into male and females on one hand, and those that are and are not currently studying for a Marathi subject on other. So what we have done, we have divided into male and females, whereas what is other matter, that is whether they are studying the Marathi subject or not. There means there are two variants of two samples. What we are comparing, that males and females, two samples. Then what we are doing, those who are studying Marathi and those who are not studying Marathi. That means we are sampling a two variants, two samples. Now what we will get? We will get a sample of male who are studying a Marathi and the male who are not studying the Marathi, and the female who are studying the Marathi and the females who are not studying the Marathi. Now in Chi-square test. What is Chi-square test? This is the test which is also known as goodness of fit. This test is given by Carl Pearson. You should know who has given this test called Pearson, and it is denoted by x square. Now we have studied in this video there are two methods by which we can test our hypothesis, parametric and non-parametric test, right? In parametric test, what we have learned? Z-test, T-test and F-test, and non-parametric chi-square test. Now in parametric test simply means the method in which we use some parameters to solve the questions, whereas in non-parametric test there is no need of using some parameters. Here we are using mode, median to solve the various questions. Now, so this is Z-test, T-test, F-test and chi-square test. You should know what comes under the parametric test, what comes under the non-parametric test, then what is Z-test, T-test and F-test individually. So it is important topic from the point of view to NET Management Paper 2 as well as Paper 1. Hope it is clear. Thank you. Have a nice day.